Hello and welcome to Sleep Focus. Most people, when they hear the word pirate, picture something strangely glamorous. A figure standing confidently at the edge of a ship, coat fluttering in the wind, a gleaming sword at his side and a loyal parrot perched on his shoulder. There is always a sense of freedom in that image, of a life unbound by rules, full of daring escapes, hidden treasure, and endless horizons. It feels like a story of rebellion, of adventure, of a man choosing excitement over ordinary life. But that image is not where this story truly begins. To understand why piracy existed at all, you have to step away from that romantic picture and look at the world that created it. A harsher, quieter world, one without music or heroism. A world made of damp wood, salt air, and exhaustion that never quite leaves your bones. Imagine yourself not as a pirate, but as an ordinary young sailor in the early 18th century. You are not special. You are not brave in any legendary sense. You are simply someone trying to survive. Your world is a ship, small, crowded, and endlessly creaking as it pushes its way across a vast and indifferent ocean. There is no escape from it, no corner to call your own. Everywhere you turn, there are ropes, sails, barrels, and other men just as tired as you are. The day does not begin with sunlight. It begins in darkness, often hours before dawn, when you are shaken awake or shouted at to return to work. Your body protests immediately. Every muscle aches from the day before, and the day before that, stretching back through months at sea. Your hands are rough and cracked, the skin hardened and broken from hauling heavy ropes soaked in salt water. The air is always damp, clinging to your clothes, your skin, even your thoughts. There is no such thing as rest in the way people on land understand it. Work is constant and repetitive. You climb high into the rigging, balancing on swaying lines with nothing but open sea below. You haul, pull, tie, and adjust sails over and over again, guided by shouted orders. You scrub the deck until your arms burn, pump water from the lower hull, patch torn fabric, and coat ropes with tar to keep them from rotting. The tasks never truly end, they simply change. And for all of this labor, there is very little reward. Your pay is promised, but not given, not yet. Not until the voyage is complete. Weeks turn into months and still you receive nothing. If the ship is lost, your work vanishes with it. If you fall ill or are injured, you are simply replaced. Even if you survive and return to port, there is no guarantee you will be paid fairly. The captain holds that power, and there is little you can do if he decides otherwise. Food offers no comfort. The meals are as repetitive as the work. Hard, dry biscuits that must be softened just to chew, often filled with insects that no one bothers to remove anymore. Salted meat, preserved long ago, tough and nearly flavorless except for the overwhelming taste of brine. Water stored in wooden barrels grows stale and foul over time, sometimes barely drinkable. Fresh food is a distant memory, something you almost forget the taste of. Slowly, quietly, sickness begins to appear. Gums bleeding, teeth loosening, strange weakness creeping into the body. Men grow pale and confused, some do not recover. It becomes just another part of life at sea, another danger among many. Above all of this hangs something heavier than hunger or exhaustion, the constant threat of punishment. Authority on a ship is absolute. The captain's word is law, and that law is enforced without hesitation. A mistake, a hesitation, or even the wrong tone of voice can bring swift consequences. There are no arguments, no defenses, only orders, and the expectation that they will be followed. This is the reality. Not adventure, not freedom, but a long stretch of days that feel almost identical, each one demanding more from you than the last. A life where effort does not guarantee reward, where obedience is survival, and where the future offers little more than a continuation of the same. And it is within this world, this exhausting, unfair, and unforgiving world, that another possibility begins to take shape. Not as a dream, not at first, but as a whisper. The whisper comes first as a thought, fleeting and almost impossible to grasp. It is not spoken aloud, at least not at first. It forms quietly in the mind, like a shadow moving at the edge of vision. You notice it when the captain yells at a man for dropping a rope, or when a fellow sailor collapses from exhaustion and the crew is told to ignore it. You notice it when the coins promised for your labor seem impossibly far away, locked behind some arbitrary decision you cannot influence. The whisper grows louder with every unfair punishment, every missed meal, every storm that tosses the ship like a child's toy. It begins to speak of another way. Not an easy way, far from it, but a way that does not bend entirely to the captain's whim. A way where effort can bring tangible reward, a way where a man can take what he is owed, or even more than he has ever dreamed. It whispers of gold, of freedom, of power over your own fate. And the more the days drag on, the more that whisper turns into a thought that will not be ignored. You start noticing the small signs. Men who disappear from ports under mysterious circumstances, returning weeks later with strange trinkets or pockets heavier than before. Stories spread quickly on the docks, in hushed tones over barrels of rum, or in the quiet of a tavern after a long voyage. Men speak of crews that answer to no king, no navy, no law, crews that take ships from others, not for punishment or war, but simply because they can. Men who have learned to carve out their own place in a world that does not care for ordinary sailors. At first you dismiss it. It feels impossible, almost ridiculous. You are no different from the others aboard your ship, exhausted, poor, and trapped. How could such a thing be real? But doubt is a luxury you cannot afford for long. The more you witness injustice, the more your mind begins to linger on the idea. You watch the officers as they take their share of the rations, or the captain as he pockets the coins meant for the crew. You see how unfairly punishment is distributed, and a quiet anger grows in your chest. Each injustice adds weight to the idea that maybe, just maybe, there is another way. And then the opportunity comes. You cannot call it luck exactly, but something changes. A chance appears, subtle but unmistakable. A ship sighted on the horizon. It sails full, glinting in the sun. Vulnerable. You hear a murmur among your companions, a mixture of fear and excitement. You sense it before words are spoken, the first taste of what could be more than mere survival, a chance to step off the path set before you by law, by duty, by necessity, and to step into something dangerous, thrilling, and potentially life-altering. Your heart begins to beat differently in those moments. Each creak of the deck beneath your boots, each rush of wind across the rigging feels charged with possibility. Your muscles, worn and aching from endless labor, now carry a different tension. It is not just fear, they carry anticipation. You realize that the world has quietly shifted, though the ocean and the sky have not. The rules are still the same, but you are no longer certain they must be followed. It is an intoxicating feeling, and as the day stretches into night, and the other sailors speak in hushed tones about what might be taken, what might be won, the whisper becomes a voice that does not just suggest, but commands. Freedom is possible, power is possible, riches are possible, and if you act carefully, cleverly, courageously, then perhaps all of it can be yours. But with that voice comes another feeling, one you cannot escape. Danger, betrayal, death. The consequences of choice are heavy here, far heavier than any lash or missed ration. You realize that stepping into this life is not a gamble. It is a commitment. Once chosen, the path cannot be undone. The ocean does not forgive mistakes, nor do men who take what is not freely offered. And still, the seed is planted. Even as the night falls and the ship rocks gently under the stars, your mind cannot stop turning over the possibilities. It is not yet a plan, not yet an action, but it is a promise, to yourself, to the whisper that refuses to die. Something better is out there, something greater, and one day soon, if courage and chance align, you will reach for it. The night seems to stretch endlessly, full of quiet tension. Somewhere in the darkness, the waves crash against the hull, indifferent, and somewhere in your heart, the first spark of a different life is catching flame, ready to burn away the old world entirely. The night is restless. Sleep comes in fragments, stolen between the rhythmic sway of the ship and the quiet murmur of the waves. Even in dreams, the whisper persists, now no longer quiet or subtle. It has taken form, vivid and insistent. You see faces of men who have chosen a different life, their eyes hard but alive with the thrill of a world without masters. You feel the weight of possibilities pressing against your chest, urging movement, daring action. Morning arrives in a wash of grey light, spilling over the decks like a hesitant confession. The ship creaks under the burden of water and wood, each groan a reminder of fragility. You rise before the others, your body moving on autopilot while your mind spins in preparation. Today everything could change, or nothing. The horizon feels different now, wider, as if it waits for those who dare. You begin watching the crew more closely, noting loyalties, weaknesses, and routines. Every glance matters. Every whispered conversation carries significance. Even small gestures, the way the quartermaster pockets a coin, the way a sailor hesitates before following an order, speak of patterns and openings. You map them quietly in your mind, shaping a strategy that has no guarantee of success but demands execution. The first test comes in subtle ways. A sudden storm, wind tearing at the sails, water slapping against the hull. The captain yells, lashes out, blames, punishes. It is predictable, yet it strikes with the force of inevitability. The crew groans, fears, but you see the cracks. Some falter under pressure, others act instinctively, revealing strengths and weaknesses you can exploit. It is a lesson, a rehearsal for the choice that will soon be required of you. Then, at the moment least expected, an opportunity appears. The ship ahead, which you have been tracking for days, drifts slightly off course, unaware of your presence. You feel a pulse in your chest, a mixture of dread and exhilaration. Everything you have observed, every secret glance and hushed murmur, culminates here. To act or hesitate is to define your path. Hesitation has been a companion for too long. Action is the only language that matters now. You share a look with a few of the most observant sailors, men whose ambitions mirror your own, though none speak it aloud. Trust must be earned silently, words are too dangerous. Each nod, each subtle movement signals readiness. Hearts pound, breaths quicken, and the world narrows to the thin line between fear and possibility. The plan, however fragile, begins to unfold. You move with precision, anticipating reactions, exploiting distraction. The first clash is chaotic, messy, the kind of violence that tastes metallic in the mouth and lingers in the lungs. Screams echo, boots skid on slick planks, the wind carries shouts over the waves. For a heartbeat, it feels as if the universe has paused, watching, weighing. Then it surges back, unstoppable. By the time the dust settles, the ship is no longer just yours. It is transformed. The rules have changed. Some men stand defiant, others shocked, and a few broken, unwilling to follow the new order. The sea stretches wide and indifferent, but you feel a new authority, fragile but real, coursing through you. The whisper has grown into a roar. It has led you here, through risk and cunning, to the first taste of freedom. And yet, even in victory, the weight of consequence presses down. The choices made cannot be undone. The crew will test loyalty, the waves will test skill, and the horizon will hold dangers you cannot yet imagine. The life you glimpsed in the whisper is real, but it demands vigilance, cunning, and the willingness to act where others hesitate. As night falls again, you stand on the deck, the stars mirrored in the restless sea. There is a strange serenity in the chaos you have wrought, a sense that the world has shifted just enough to let you claim a fragment of it. Tomorrow will bring new trials, new threats, new temptations, but tonight you allow yourself a quiet satisfaction. You have crossed the threshold. The path that seemed impossible is now the only way forward, and there is no turning back. The ocean, vast and unknowable, stretches before you, full of secrets and dangers, and for the first time, you are not merely a passenger. You are a force in motion, a shape bending the tides, a shadow becoming real. The whisper has become a voice, and its song is yours to follow, recklessly, boldly, and without regret. The days after the takeover pass in a tense rhythm, each moment charged with uncertainty. The crew moves cautiously around you, measuring loyalty and testing boundaries. Every order you give is weighed against unspoken fears, every glance scrutinized for signs of dissent. The ship, once a vessel of routine and obedience, has become a stage where ambition, fear, and desire play out in visible, sometimes brutal, ways. You spend hours pacing the deck, tracing patterns in the wind and waves, imagining every possible consequence of a single choice. Maps, previously meaningless to you beyond the occasional glance, now hold secrets of strategy. Each island, each bend in the coast, offers opportunity or peril. The horizon is no longer distant. It is a living presence urging you to act, to seize, to dominate. Rumors begin to spread, whispers of your audacity carried like driftwood among the sailors. Some speak with admiration, others with resentment. The division is palpable. Even in their silence, the crew communicates, subtly positioning allies and enemies in ways you must decipher. Trust has become a currency more precious than gold. Deception, a tool more reliable than loyalty. At night, the ship feels almost alive, its timbers creaking in time with your thoughts. You imagine the countless hands that built it, the countless dreams and failures it has carried. And now, it carries you, an unlikely commander, shaped by impulse, necessity, and a hunger for freedom. The stars above, once distant and cold, now seem to follow your path, mapping the possibilities that stretch endlessly beyond the waves. Tensions come to a head when a small skirmish breaks out with a rival vessel, unexpected and violent. The crew is tested, their reactions revealing hidden courage and latent fear. You move decisively, guiding, directing, influencing outcomes with a mixture of intuition and ruthless calculation. Some men falter, others rise to unexpected heights. The taste of power, of control, is intoxicating but dangerous. One mistake could unravel everything. After the clash, as the adrenaline fades, a strange stillness descends. Bodies are tended, wounds washed, and the ship's rhythm resumes. But it is altered, sharper, more alert. The lesson is clear. In this world, hesitation is deadly, and action carries a price. You feel the weight of responsibility settle in your chest, heavy but strangely invigorating. Your thoughts often drift to the whisper that began it all. It feels less like a voice now and more like a companion, urging exploration, pushing against limits, testing resolve. You wonder if it has always been there or if it emerged because you dared to act. Either way, it has become inseparable from your sense of self, guiding your instincts, sharpening your perception, demanding that you navigate each choice with precision. As days stretch into nights and nights into restless mornings, the ship continues its journey through uncertain waters. Each sunrise brings new challenges. Storm clouds on the horizon, murmurs of rebellion, the unpredictable currents of human nature. Yet with every challenge, your confidence grows, tempered by the knowledge that the sea does not forgive, and men rarely follow willingly without fear, respect, or opportunity. By the time you allow yourself a moment of reflection, you realize that the man who first heard the whisper is gone. In his place stands someone defined not by hesitation, but by the choices made, the risks taken, and the quiet hunger for what lies beyond the next horizon. You have become both architect and participant in a dangerous, beautiful game where the stakes are total, and retreat is no longer an option. The morning breaks with a heavy golden light, spilling across the deck and revealing the subtle scars left by yesterday's clash. The ship, though repaired, carries a quiet tension, a collective memory of what almost was and what could still be. The crew moves with careful precision, their steps measured, their eyes alert, as if the ocean itself might whisper secrets or threats at any moment. You walk among them, feeling their gazes and calculating their moods. Alliances are forming, subtle but undeniable. Some men seek your favor openly, their ambition as obvious as the gleam of polished cutlasses. Others linger in shadow, observing, waiting for a moment of weakness, a single mistake you might make. Each glance, each hushed conversation, becomes part of the map you draw in your mind, a web of power, trust, and threat, intricate and shifting. News arrives by way of a small sloop approaching from the north. Its sails are familiar, yet its purpose unclear. You order it to heave to, and a man steps aboard, eyes wide with a mixture of awe and fear. His message is brief, urgent. Rivals have learned of your ascent, and a coalition is forming to challenge your command. Names, locations, and intentions are outlined, leaving no doubt that the calm seas are an illusion. Every choice going forward will carry consequences far beyond your ship. You gather the crew and relay the warning with measured words. Some cheer at the prospect of further conflict, hungry for glory and plunder. Others frown, whispering doubts, questioning your strategy or your judgment. In their reactions, you see both the opportunity to inspire loyalty and the threat of mutiny. Leadership is no longer a question of command alone. It is a test of perception, of foresight, and of the quiet art of influence. As the day wears on, you pore over charts, plotting courses that balance risk with opportunity. You imagine ambushes and escapes, ports where allies might hide, and islands that might serve as traps. The ocean is vast, yet every wave and current now feels like a tool to be used or an obstacle to be avoided. Strategy, once abstract and distant, becomes immediate, visceral. A game of life and death played on a rolling stage of water and wind. At night, as the stars pierce the velvet darkness, you stand at the bow and listen to the whisper again. It offers no clear answers, only possibilities, urging boldness and caution in equal measure. You sense that the world beyond the horizon has changed. It no longer waits passively for those who wander. It challenges, tests, and punishes those who underestimate its reach. Tensions within the crew continue to rise. A minor dispute over rations escalates into a heated argument, revealing fractures you had only sensed. You intervene, not with force alone, but with calculation, turning the disagreement into a demonstration of fairness and authority. Loyalty is fragile, you realize, but it can be strengthened or broken by the way power is wielded. As you retire to your quarters, exhausted yet alert, you consider the path ahead. Rivals are gathering, the ocean is unpredictable, and the men who follow you are both your strength and your vulnerability. The whisper hums softly in the back of your mind, a reminder that every decision matters, that hesitation can be fatal, and that the journey has only just begun. By the time sleep claims you, your thoughts are not of rest but of preparation. Storms will come, both from the sea and from the hearts of men. Allies and enemies will appear in unexpected forms, and through it all, you must navigate not only the waters, but the currents of ambition, fear, and desire that swirl around you like a tide that can either lift you or drag you under. The horizon waits, endless and demanding, and you know that tomorrow will bring choices that may define not just the journey of the ship, but the very shape of the world that moves just beyond your grasp. The night stretches long and silent, but sleep eludes you. The ship rocks gently under the moonlight, a deceptive calm after the storm of cannon fire. Your crew murmurs in the shadows, their exhaustion mingled with unease. Every corner seems to hold a secret, every movement a potential threat. You pace the deck, tracing the familiar grooves of the wood beneath your feet, grounding yourself in the tangible while your mind spins through scenarios, alliances, and betrayals. A soft voice breaks the quiet. It is one of your lieutenants, usually composed but now restless. "Captain, I don't trust them," he admits, nodding toward a group of crewmen huddled by the main mast. His words are carefully measured, but the fear behind them is unmistakable. You consider the implications. Doubt spreads faster than fire, and if suspicion is allowed to fester, it can destroy everything built with blood and sweat. You nod once, acknowledging the concern without letting it show that it rattles you. "Then we watch," you say, voice low but firm, "and we act only when the truth demands it." The shadows lengthen, and you notice a flicker of movement near the hold. Curiosity and caution compel you to investigate. As you descend into the dimly lit space, the smell of oil, tar, and sweat fills your senses. You see them, two men huddled over a map, their whispers urgent, conspiratorial. They freeze as you step closer, fear overtaking defiance. "Explain yourselves," you command. The room is thick with tension, their silence heavier than any weapon. One of them stammers, We need orders, sir." You study them, weighing the truth against the desperation in their eyes. Loyalty cannot be demanded, it must be earned and maintained, constantly tested in the crucible of circumstance. You make a decision, subtle but sharp, that will ripple through the crew. They are punished, not with brutality, but with isolation, removed from the heart of command, left to reflect on the consequences of divided allegiance. The message is clear without being cruel. Loyalty is survival. Betrayal is death. Above deck, the moon has risen high, casting silver light across the waves. The enemy fleet remains distant but present, a constant reminder of the fragility of your current triumph. You climb to the highest point on the deck, looking out over the dark water, feeling the immense pressure of command settle on your shoulders, like a mantle of iron. The wind carries both the scent of salt and the intangible tension of impending challenges. Every decision from this point onward will shape not only the fate of your ship, but the lives of every soul aboard. Morning comes, bringing with it the harsh light of reality. Reports of minor sabotage and hidden alliances trickle in, forcing your attention in multiple directions at once. Strategy meetings with your lieutenants are tense, each plan dissected, each move considered in meticulous detail. You sense that even a single misstep could tip the balance, and you find yourself thinking not just like a commander, but like a predator, calculating risks, predicting behavior, anticipating deceit. Orders are given, subtle yet forceful. Watchers are placed discreetly among the crew, whispers are monitored, and movements scrutinized. The ship, once a vessel of camaraderie, is now also a stage for vigilance and suspicion. The crew responds to your direction with a mixture of obedience and uncertainty, aware that the atmosphere has shifted, that trust is no longer freely granted, but cautiously earned. As the day stretches on, news reaches you of unexpected reinforcements spotted approaching on the horizon. Not your allies, but neutral parties, observers whose intentions are yet unknown. Their presence complicates the equation, forcing you to consider diplomacy alongside aggression, caution alongside boldness. Every interaction, every decision, now carries layers of consequence, some immediate, some delayed, some invisible, until revealed. You walk the deck again, alone for a moment, feeling the full weight of command settle around you like a cloak soaked in salt and sun. Leadership is more than giving orders. It is maintaining the fragile cohesion of human will under extreme conditions. It is making the impossible appear inevitable. And it is surviving when survival seems improbable. The crew depends on you not just for guidance but for clarity, and you must provide it even as uncertainty gnaws at every edge of your resolve. As dusk falls, a sudden shout splits the air, a lookout spotting movement on the distant horizon. Your pulse quickens, instincts sharp. The game has changed once again, and the next phase of survival and strategy is upon you. The crew looks to you, their eyes reflecting hope, fear, and expectation. You nod, the weight of decision heavy but precise. Every action from this point will resonate far beyond the immediate, shaping alliances, breaking or solidifying loyalties, and setting the stage for the trials yet to come. The night deepens, and with it comes the knowledge that the coming hours may define the destiny of all aboard this ship. Each breath, each step, each glance matters now, and you are ready to meet whatever comes with the calm intensity that only true command demands. The approaching silhouettes on the horizon sharpen under the dying light, their shapes slowly resolving into sails that seem both familiar and foreign. A tension like static electricity runs through the crew. Every hand hovers near weapons. Every eye scans the darkening waves. You study the horizon with patience, measuring distance, speed, and the potential intentions behind the movement. The uncertainty gnaws, but you have learned long ago that hesitation is a luxury commanders cannot afford. Orders are whispered with precision. Some crewmen ready the cannons, others adjust the rigging for sudden maneuvers. You move among them, your presence both anchor and signal, calm yet commanding. Rumors ripple through the lower decks, questions of loyalty, speculation on who might be working for whom, but you let them pass. Panic is contagious, and in your domain, control must be absolute. As the ships draw nearer, you notice an unusual formation, one that hints at a calculated strategy rather than aimless drift. They are neither openly hostile nor obviously allied. Your mind races, weighing possibilities. Could these be mercenaries hired by a distant rival? Scouts sent to gauge your strength? Or a neutral party whose allegiance could be swayed with the right combination of cunning and persuasion? Every option carries risk, and every decision must be layered with foresight. Below deck, whispers grow louder. Your lieutenant reports a subtle mutiny forming, enough to threaten order if left unchecked. You consider your options. Confrontation could spark outright rebellion, but ignoring it invites disaster. You choose the subtler path. Carefully timed instructions are sent to certain crew members, reinforcing loyalty without exposing fear. Meanwhile, your presence among the crew is both shield and subtle reminder of who holds authority. Control, is often about perception as much as reality. The unknown ships finally close enough to reveal flags and insignia that do not match any nation you recognize. The ambiguity is deliberate, the warning clear. These are outsiders who operate by rules not fully known to you. Your pulse steadies. Adrenaline sharpens focus. You order a parley, a cautious approach that balances diplomacy and preparation for violence. Every word, every gesture is a test, an attempt to discern intentions while maintaining advantage. As the envoy boards your vessel, the air grows thick with suspicion. Their leader is calm, eyes calculating, posture deliberate. The conversation is formal, carefully constructed to reveal nothing while probing for weaknesses. You respond with equal precision, allowing only glimpses of your strategy, offering small concessions that seem generous but carry hidden leverage. It is a game of chess played with human lives, and you are determined to control the board. Meanwhile, your crew watches. Some feel reassured by your command, others restless, craving action rather than diplomacy. You recognize the delicate balance. Too much leniency invites chaos. Too much severity breeds resentment. Leadership, you realize again, is the art of shaping perception, of bending reality subtly to ensure survival while minimizing overt conflict. Night falls, and the horizon fades to darkness, but the presence of these unknown ships lingers like a shadow across your deck. Plans are laid, contingencies mapped, and silent watches doubled. Every sound, creaking wood, whispering wind, the faint slap of waves, carries potential meaning. Trust is scarce, and suspicion is abundant. Even your closest lieutenants are tested, their loyalty reinforced through subtle observation and careful management. In the quiet moments, when the moonlight touches the deck and the sea stretches endlessly, You reflect on the precarious position of command. Each choice is a thread, weaving a tapestry that could unravel in an instant. The challenge is no longer just survival at sea. It is survival of your authority, your vision, and the fragile cohesion of those who depend on you. By the first light of dawn, tentative agreements have been sketched, but a quiet tension lingers beneath the surface. The unknown ships remain nearby, a reminder that the situation is still unfolding, and that each decision could shape what comes next. Your crew senses the shift in pace. Instinct and training come together as they prepare for whatever may follow, guided by your steady presence and clear focus. As you stand at the prow, eyes fixed on the distant sails, you realize the sea is no longer just a place of travel, but a meeting point of minds, loyalties, and hidden intentions. In this delicate situation, even the smallest misstep could change everything. The next hours will test your judgment, your patience, and your resolve. The morning sun rises pale and calm, casting a silver glow across the restless sea. The unknown ships linger at a distance, their presence creating a quiet pressure on your crew. You can feel it in their posture, in the subtle shifts on deck. Still, you maintain composure. Every glance toward the horizon reflects calm leadership and quiet confidence. Your mind works steadily, tracing possibilities and outcomes. The envoy's words from the previous night remain in your thoughts like an unfinished puzzle. They spoke of trade, cooperation, and shared benefit, yet each sentence carried layers of meaning. You replay their expressions, their tone, and the smallest details. Every observation matters, especially in moments where understanding can shape the future. Below deck, whispers move softly among the crew. A sense of uncertainty has begun to grow, but you respond early. Trusted officers move among the sailors, offering reassurance and reinforcing a sense of unity. Leadership, you remind yourself, is not only about decisions, but also about maintaining trust and balance. A distant horn sounds from one of the ships. The signal is calm and deliberate. You guide your crew into readiness, your movements measured and unhurried. Sails are adjusted, positions taken, and preparations made with quiet efficiency. Every action shows awareness without creating unnecessary tension. Soon envoys approach once more under a sign of peace. They board with composed expressions, their presence calm yet purposeful. Your officers stand beside you, attentive. The conversation begins formally, with careful words and thoughtful responses. Both sides speak with intention, sharing little yet observing everything. It is a careful exchange, where balance and patience matter most. At the same time, you notice small signs of unease among your crew. Brief glances, quiet conversations, subtle changes in behavior. You observe without drawing attention, understanding that these moments require careful handling. Each individual has their own concerns, and your role is to guide the situation steadily. By midday, the discussion reaches a natural pause. General understandings are outlined, though much remains open. The envoys return to their ship, leaving a sense of anticipation behind. Your crew reflects quietly, aware that the situation is still developing. As the sun begins to lower, you stand at the helm, watching the horizon. The ships remain, calm and distant. The responsibility of leadership stays with you, shaping each choice you make. Every action now carries weight, guiding the path ahead. In quieter moments, with only the sound of the sea around you, you reflect on the nature of trust and leadership. Trust must be built carefully, and unity grows through steady guidance. The sea continues its rhythm, unchanged, as plans and possibilities move forward. Night falls, wrapping the ships in soft shadows. Lanterns sway gently along the deck, casting warm, flickering light. Plans are reviewed, adjustments made, and watches set with care. You know that tomorrow may bring new understanding, and that each step forward depends on the choices made today. The night deepens, quiet and heavy, while the ocean moves steadily beneath your ship. There is a strange feeling in the air, as if something important is about to happen. The crew rests below deck, though not peacefully, while a few officers remain awake, watching carefully. A small movement near the cargo catches your attention. You move closer, calm and focused, noticing someone hiding in the shadows. "Stop," you say firmly. A young sailor steps forward, nervous and unsure. "I thought I saw something," he says. But his reaction feels unusual. You take a closer look and notice something else. Another person hidden behind the crates. You reveal a stowaway, someone who was not meant to be on board. The situation becomes serious, but you stay calm. The unknown man is secured, and your trusted officer is called to handle the situation carefully. By morning, the crew gathers for inspection. No accusations are made, but everyone understands the importance of discipline and awareness. Quiet whispers spread, but your calm leadership keeps things under control. On the horizon, distant ships remain still, creating tension without action. You choose preparation over reaction. The crew checks equipment, reviews positions, and stays ready for anything. Later, in your cabin, you study maps and plans, thinking ahead. Every decision matters, and you focus on keeping everyone safe and prepared. As night returns, the ship is quiet again, but alert. You stand watching the sea, knowing that something may happen soon. The future is uncertain, but you remain steady, ready to face whatever comes next. Dawn breaks in a pale, hesitant light, spilling over the restless waters like a warning. The distant horizon glimmers with the outline of the approaching fleet. Dark shapes moving deliberately, almost predatory in their advance. Your crew is already at their stations. Faces pale but determined. Hands gripping ropes and weapons with a mixture of fear and resolve. The air is thick with anticipation, each breath heavy, each movement measured. You walk along the deck, observing every detail, noting the tension in shoulders, the twitch of nervous fingers. Leadership demands presence, even when uncertainty gnaws at your own mind. A whispered command here, a nod of reassurance there. Small gestures, but they ripple through the crew like a stabilizing current. You can feel the weight of expectation pressing down on you, but it fuels rather than drains you. The first signs of engagement arrive in the form of distant cannon fire, booming like distant thunder. The sound reverberates through the hull, rattling nerves and waking instincts honed over countless encounters with danger. You issue orders with calm precision, directing movements and positioning while scanning for weakness in the approaching fleet. Strategy is fluid now, an unbroken dance of observation and reaction. Every decision could mean life or death for those aboard your ship. As the enemy draws closer, their sails catching the morning light, you notice subtle formations, patterns designed to test and intimidate. Their intent is clear, to unsettle, to probe for vulnerabilities. But your crew responds with disciplined coordination, adjusting sails, bracing for impact, maintaining the rhythm of a well-oiled machine. The saboteur you captured the night before is secured under watch, a reminder of the fragility of trust and the consequences of failure. A warning shot arcs across the water, splashing dangerously close, and the battle begins in earnest. Cannon fire tears through the air, smoke curling like living specters over the waves. The deck shudders under each impact, and cries of command and alarm mingle with the roar of the sea. You move with deliberate urgency, shouting orders, correcting missteps, ensuring that every man knows his place, every weapon is ready, and every contingency is accounted for. Amidst the chaos, a small group of enemy sailors attempts to board, leaping from their vessel in a desperate gambit. Your crew responds with swift precision, cutting through the threat before it can take root. The clash of steel, the cries of struggle, the chaos of close combat. These moments crystallize into a brutal clarity. Leadership is tested not in strategy alone, but in the ability to inspire courage and maintain cohesion under the most extreme pressure. As the battle rages, you sense a shift in momentum. The enemy falters, their formations breaking under disciplined resistance. Yet you know better than to celebrate prematurely. Every advantage gained can vanish with a single misstep. Every act of bravery can be rendered futile by the unpredictable sea or the cunning of your adversary. You maintain vigilance, directing fire, adjusting positioning, and keeping morale high. Hours pass, though time seems suspended in the maelstrom. The sun climbs higher, casting stark shadows across the deck, highlighting both the courage and the toll exacted by conflict. Some crew members are injured, others exhausted, yet the collective will to survive binds them together. You feel a quiet satisfaction in the cohesion and resilience you have cultivated, but the shadow of uncertainty lingers. By mid-afternoon, the enemy begins to retreat, their ships pulling back under the weight of sustained pressure. The sea, once again, claims its temporary calm, carrying with it the aftermath of chaos and the echoes of violence. You survey the damage, splintered wood, torn sails, a few casualties, but the ship itself remains intact. The crew breathes a collective sigh, a brief respite before the inevitable next challenge. You retreat to the captain's cabin, your mind racing through possibilities. The saboteur's presence, the enemy's tactics, the shifting alliances at play. Each element demands scrutiny. Strategy is an ongoing calculation, a relentless passing of risk and opportunity. Outside, the sea glimmers deceptively serene, hiding the threats that could emerge with the turn of the tide. Tonight, the crew will rest, tending to wounds and rebuilding strength, but your vigilance cannot falter. Each decision, each maneuver, each word, carries consequences that extend far beyond the immediate moment. The horizon is alive with potential danger, and you know the battle is far from over. In the quiet of the cabin, you prepare for what comes next, understanding that survival demands not only courage and skill, but foresight, patience, and the relentless drive to master both men and sea alike. The first decisive engagement has passed, but the war is only beginning. Tomorrow, the horizon will once again challenge you, and the true measure of leadership will be tested in ways both visible and hidden. The night falls with a heavy, suffocating silence that seems almost unnatural after the chaos of the day. On deck, lanterns sway in the mild breeze, casting long, trembling shadows over the splintered wood and blood-stained ropes. The crew moves quietly, tending to the wounded, repairing torn sails, and patching cannon damage. Their faces are a mixture of exhaustion, relief, and the lingering edge of fear. You walk among them, offering a few words of encouragement, careful to appear calm even when your mind churns with strategy, suspicion, and uncertainty. Below deck, the wounded are laid on makeshift cots and blankets. The medics work tirelessly, dabbing blood, setting broken bones, and applying salves. Their faces grim but focused. The air is heavy with the smell of salt, smoke, and iron. You pause at the doorway, listening to the soft murmurs of the injured, the quiet prayers, and the occasional sob. These moments, so different from the thunderous intensity of battle, reveal the true cost of command, the toll that leadership exacts not just on strategy, but on the souls of those who follow you. In the captain's cabin, the maps are spread across the table once more. You trace the path of the enemy fleet with your finger, noting the positions where they struck hardest and where they faltered. Each movement tells a story, a pattern, and perhaps a hint of what is to come. Intelligence gathered from the captured saboteur adds layers of complexity, whispers of alliances, betrayals, and hidden objectives that could tip the balance in unpredictable ways. You feel the weight of the choices ahead pressing down, knowing that a single miscalculation could undo all the progress you've fought so hard to achieve. Outside, the sea murmurs against the hull, deceptively calm, hiding both opportunities and threats. You know the enemy is not finished. Retreat today is merely a pause, a moment to regroup before the storm rises again. Orders are quietly given. Night watches are doubled, scouting missions planned, and contingencies prepared. Every action is deliberate, every precaution necessary, for the shadows of the night are alive with danger. Amid the preparations, a quiet confrontation unfolds. The saboteur, chained and under watch, glares at you with defiance, lips curled in a mixture of hatred and fear. You meet his gaze steadily, weighing options, considering interrogation, and evaluating the risk of leaving him alive. Every detail matters. Every word, every expression could reveal secrets or set traps that the enemy could exploit. The balance of trust, deception, and control is fragile, and you navigate it with careful precision. Hours stretch into the early morning. The crew is finally allowed brief rest, though sleep is light, haunted by the echoes of cannon fire, the cries of battle, and the ever-present sense of impending conflict. You remain vigilant, pacing the deck, eyes scanning the horizon, mind racing through possible scenarios. Allies and enemies alike are invisible threads in a web of strategy that extends beyond the waters you command. Each decision made in these quiet hours could shift the course of events irrevocably. As dawn approaches, a pale glow tinges the horizon. The first light reveals the sea in all its deceptive serenity, stretching endlessly, concealing currents, shoals, and hidden threats. You gather the officers, sharing observations, refining plans, and issuing instructions with clarity and authority. The sense of unity among your crew is fragile but potent, strengthened by shared survival and the understanding that the days ahead will demand even greater resolve. The day promises new challenges, new adversaries, and the unrelenting demand for leadership that balances courage, intellect, and intuition. The events of the previous battle will ripple outward, shaping perception, loyalty, and opportunity. Every glance, every whispered rumor, every hidden act could influence the tides of power in ways that are not yet visible. You stand on deck, the wind tousling your hair, the horizon alive with possibility and peril. The crew, gathered around you, looks to your example, drawing strength from your presence. You feel the full weight of command, the responsibility, the burden, and the unyielding drive to survive and to triumph. The first act of the campaign has ended, but the greater story is only beginning. Tomorrow, the sea will speak again, and you must be ready to answer its call. The next battle is coming, And with it, the revelation of secrets, the testing of loyalties, and the forging of destiny. The war is far from over, and you know that only the vigilant, the bold, and the cunning will endure. The dawn breaks over the horizon like a fragile promise, painting the waves in shades of gold and crimson. Silence hangs over the deck for a brief moment, broken only by the creaking of the timbers and the soft lapping of water against the hull. You stand at the prow, surveying the open sea, the weight of everything that has come before settling heavily on your shoulders. The crew moves with quiet purpose, knowing instinctively that today may be the day when all their courage is tested, when decisions must be made not in theory, but in fire and chaos. The enemy fleet is visible in the distance, their sails stark against the morning light, each ship a looming threat. The previous skirmishes have left marks, wreckage drifting, fires burning, sails torn, but they are far from broken. Every captain among them is calculating, every crew member alert, each one driven by motives as varied and hidden as your own. The tension is palpable, a charged energy that courses through the deck, through the ropes and rigging, through your own body, as adrenaline sharpens every sense. Orders are shouted, crisp and deliberate, a choreography of preparedness that the crew executes with trained precision. Cannons are primed, sails adjusted to the wind, and lookouts climb higher for a better view of the shifting horizon. Below deck, the wounded are tended to, the medics and sailors moving with tireless efficiency, the smell of salt, sweat and smoke mingling into a reminder of what is at stake. Every detail counts. One misfired cannon, one misjudged tack, one lapse in attention could be catastrophic. As the distance closes, you feel the weight of every choice you've made, every alliance forged and every deception woven. The intelligence gathered from the saboteur, the observations of enemy movement, the careful timing of your maneuvers, they all coalesce into a strategy that must hold under pressure. The ship feels alive beneath your feet, responding to your commands, a partner in the delicate dance of warfare. The first shots are fired, a thunderous roar that splits the morning air. Smoke and fire erupt across the water as cannonballs tear through sails and timber. The battle unfolds with brutal immediacy, every maneuver a test of courage and skill. The crew responds with precision, returning fire, adjusting sails, and maintaining the delicate balance between aggression and survival. The air is thick with tension, the salt spray mixing with smoke. The cries of battle a grim chorus that drowns out thought and leaves only instinct. Amid the chaos, your mind remains a keen instrument, calculating trajectory, timing boarding attempts, and anticipating enemy maneuvers. Each choice carries weight, life or death for your crew, the potential to turn the tide, and the looming presence of consequences beyond the immediate fight. The waves themselves seem to conspire, rising and falling with the fury of the moment, testing your seamanship and resolve. In the thick of the battle, moments of clarity emerge. A clever feint that breaks the enemy line, a well-timed volley that cripples their maneuverability, the decisive boarding of a flagship that sends ripples of fear through the opposing fleet. Every victory is hard won, every success a product of foresight, courage, and relentless determination. Yet even as triumph is glimpsed, you know the war is far from over. Every encounter teaches lessons, every engagement leaves scars, and every decision echoes forward into the uncertain future. As the sun reaches its zenith, the battle begins to ebb. Ships burn and drift, crews surrender or scatter, and the sea gradually reclaims its deceptive calm. You stand at the deck surveying the aftermath, a tableau of victory, loss, and the stark reminder that every action carries cost. The crew, battered but alive, looks to you not just for orders, but for reassurance, for a sense that their struggle has meaning, that their courage has shaped the course of events. In the quiet that follows, the weight of responsibility is undeniable. You must navigate the aftermath, tend to the wounded, secure your gains, and prepare for the next challenge. The horizon stretches endlessly, a reminder that peace is fleeting and that every victory invites new threats. Loyalty, deception, ambition, and destiny intertwine in ways that are never fully predictable. And you are at the center of it all, a fulcrum on which the tides of fate pivot. As evening falls, the sky ablaze with the colors of battle and sunset. You allow yourself a rare moment of reflection. The campaign has tested your mind, your courage, and your leadership. You have faced enemies seen and unseen, navigated treachery, and guided your crew through storms of every kind. The scars, on the ship, on the crew, and on yourself are reminders of survival, resilience, and the relentless pursuit of purpose. The war is not over, but a chapter closes, and in the quiet, as the night descends once more, you understand something profound. Survival is not merely enduring the storm, but mastering it, shaping it, and using its force to chart a course toward destiny. This is the end of your saga. For now, the ship sails on, carrying the echoes of battles past and the promise of challenges yet to come.